That's that done. Looks like we might be a quite small group this morning. Lovely. Okay. So welcome everyone. The purpose of this session is really to get into some reflections and some goal setting for the next 3 months. So I tend to plan out my years in 3-month chunks. We did at the start of the year do a 5-year Substack goal setting exercise. So I'll share that with you in the chat, so that you've got that. If you do want to kind of take a step back and plan long term, there's some really nice exercises in there. It'll just get you doing a bit of soul searching and getting you thinking about being more strategic on Substack longer term. But this is just a 3-month chunk, and we're really looking back on how things have felt and how things have looked in our dashboard for the last 3 months, which is really important work, because even though we might make a plan at the start of the year, which lots of us do, sometimes things can happen live and in a co-created space with our readers that we might want to lean into, we might want to do more work on, we might want to kind of reflect on how that felt. Sometimes we get these surprises where posts are really popular and we might want to ask ourselves, okay, do we want to do more of that? And it all comes back to that original goal of 2024 and what you're here to do. So we'll start with that. If you want to put in the chat your Substack URL so you can find each other. And also if you did have an overarching goal for this year, so perhaps you were working on deepening connection with your readers, perhaps you were working on a numerical goal, perhaps you were working on going paid, perhaps you were working on conversions from free subscribers to paid. But if you just pick like the goal that's top of mind and you put that in the chat, and I'll do the same, and then we'll go and do some reflections. Great, I'll give you a couple of minutes. Just keep typing, no problem. I'm gonna share my screen while you're doing that. Oh, hi, Charlie and Charlie's little one. Welcome. You're so welcome. Just do what you need to do. You're so welcome to be here with everybody that's here with you today. Cats, children, it's all good. Okay. So this is the class that I mentioned that is goal setting for 2024 and beyond. And the reason that I think this work is important is that once we get a bit of a handle on what our Substack can be, we need to be thinking strategically about how we're going to hold our readers long term. So we need to be keeping an eye on not only the balance of what we post, but also how things fit year to year. So incrementally, we can be thinking about strategy for next year while we're posting this year. And I know that sounds big, but there's so much opportunity here at the moment. So it is nice groundwork to do, and it is good to think about. And it also makes you kind of just lean into that fact that we have got time. You know, there is time. We don't need to be in a rush. We don't need to be pushing for something to go viral. We can just grow gently and sustainably and really think about what we want for our Substack to be, how we want it to feel to us as creatives and writers as well. So I'll just put the link in the chat. And obviously, if you're watching the recording, then I'll make sure you've got this so we can circle back. So that's that one. And then if we go into the reflection space, I'm just going to have a little read of your, where's it going? Oh, this always happens to me, the chat's disappeared. There we go. Just going to have a look at what people have said in terms of goals. So we're sharing our Substack URL and goals. So Rachel's saying direct traffic to Writer's Gym. Okay, I'm not sure what Writer's Gym is. It sounds exciting though. So Sam shared our URL. Claire said, yeah, we've got the URLs. That's all good. So Sophie says, my main goal is to build an audience here that will be interested in my work. Great. And so with that, Sophie, I'd say, how will you know they're interested in your work? Like, are you looking for them to click external links to your work, or are you just wanting to kind of get that sense like these people are here for me and they get what I'm talking about? So Claire says, first goal is to turn on paid subs for my embroidery membership, which I did at the end of January. Brilliant. Yeah. Next goal is to get to 30 paid subscribers, currently at 22. Great. So you're working on these quite sizable but chunky, manageable goals to go to the next level of paid subscribers. With paid subscribers, I will just say, while we're in this space, there's this really interesting dynamic between monthlies and annuals. And when you focus on annuals like I do, the monthlies can come and go, and it's not going to sort of affect our sense of how we are in the world. So I learned this really early on in my Substack journey, that if a paid subscriber left, I just felt shattered. I was like, no, don't go. What should I do? Don't leave. And actually, it is just part of what happens with subscriptions, especially on the monthlies. Lots of people have talked about jumping in and out and trying things, and like it just being this like beautiful sweet shop full of all of these different options. And it's not personal. It's just some people like the monthly option. And the ones that jump in annually, because it is so affordable, like none of us are in the finance niche where we're charging hundreds of pounds a month. We're all charging something that is affordable to most people, or we're thinking about how we offer a comp space or a coupon on that. So the option is there, and then as a writer and a creator where you are with that and you feel much more steady in that. So it's always my advice to focus on the annuals and know that the monthlies will come and go. And yeah, that can happen sometimes quite quickly. Sometimes they stay 2 or 3 months. I'd love to hear your experience of that as well in the chat, but I just wanted to pick up on that as well, because sometimes when we're focused on getting to the next level of paid subscribers, it can go up and down a lot. Okay, so Kate says, my goal is to post weekly all year and get clearer on my paid offering. Yeah, the getting clearer bit takes time, doesn't it? And I think giving ourselves time to post, see how it lands, see how it feels, survey our audience, which I know Kate's just done brilliantly. It's really worth doing that work, because then when we show up to the page for the paid stuff, we feel really embodied and really confident in the research that we've done and how we feel. And we're a lot more measured about what's going to work. So it's less jumping off a cliff and more just kind of diving into the sea and going for a swim. Full of analogies today. Okay, so Charlie says, main goal for Q1 was to show up more consistently and find a rhythm, which I have done, although not perfectly. Well, there's no perfect, is there? I think the rhythm is whatever we find it to be. In the UK, we're in the depths of winter and it's hard. And if we're juggling other work and other priorities as well, I think showing up is enough. So whatever that looks like, whether you want to show up a couple of times a week on notes, whether you want to chat with your subscribers, whether you want to do a full essay and spend lots of time editing it, whatever's right for you. So Claire's saying lost about 3, the numbers jumped around a bit. The first loss felt awful, but feel better now. Yeah. So mindset wise, just at your desk or wherever you are, just have what you're focusing on within that membership, within that paid offering, because when you know your focus, it doesn't matter if the numbers fluctuate, and you can even bookmark a different page so that when you open Substack, you're not constantly into that dashboard if those subscriber numbers are getting in your head a bit. So Lynn says, goal to grow my subscribers and turn into having a list community with people that could turn into one-to-one clients. Yeah, for sure. And so because we have such an opportunity for depth of connection on Substack, I think it is definitely possible to nurture our readers into becoming clients. And lots of the people that do the deeper work with me over at Creatively Conscious, they pop up on the video and I've never seen them before. You know, they're not people that are known to me. They're people that have been reading my work. Some of them haven't even commented before, but they've been getting to know me and then they've decided to jump into a call. So Samantha says to increase paid membership 5 now, would love to get 20 by the end of 3 months. Great. That's a nice chunky goal. I like that. Also starting on a weekly meditation podcast. When you're focusing on paid subscribers within your goal setting for this next 3 months, you need to think about what the offers are so that people don't get offer fatigue and that you feel really connected to. You call it deadline marketing. So you've got a deadline in your mind, and you might also have a visible deadline as well. So you might be saying to people, join by the end of X to get a 20% discount, or to lock this price for a lifetime, or whatever it is that you want to do. Do it in a way that feels really aligned with your work. You don't have to borrow somebody else's sales strategy and feel uncomfortable like you're wearing the wrong coat. Like, get your coat on, stitch it together, be like, is this what I want to say? Is this how I want to hold people? The economics of Substack and paid subscribers change all the time. In the last 2 years, I've seen people offer wildly different things and find their own way with that. I've seen people try something and then go, that was great for a year, now I'm doing something completely different. We've got the opportunity to do that. We can take our readers with us. Kate says reader survey has helped. Yeah, have a look. Kate, put that in the chat so people can see what you did, that post where you offered that reader survey. So Caroline's saying the aim for the next quarter is to take my paying subscribers from 15 to 25. So increase of 10. Great. Some other one-to-one clients. I lost 2 paying people and then found that one was because they'd upgraded to founder. Yeah, isn't that so nice? I'm going to do a special session on founding members because I'm so excited about what that space has become on both publications. So I'm going to put on a session for you guys so we can explore that. But for this, I'm just talking about getting super clear on the paid offer, and then we can go into that separately. So fitting how the Substack fits in part of your wider business, Nelly. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really, really important, isn't it? Because obviously we see people pour a lot of energy into Substack. I'm one of those people, and that's not right for everyone. We need to kind of hold our business and then hold how the Substack fits in. I think that's super important. Lovely. Okay. My aim is to set up a welcome page and start posting by the end of April. In May, I want to link to my coaching and mentoring website. Great, Carol. And so I've got this 30-day set up your homepage challenge running right now on my page. So we did logos last week, and about pages are going live this week, and then welcome pages are the week after. Welcome emails, sorry. So follow that through if you are feeling a bit new and you want to get settled in and set up. And Emily says, I would love to go paid, but want some solid foundation first. Get more into the routine of what I'm offering and tune into community. Yeah, that sounds really, really savvy. So Vicky's new to Substack, seeing what Substack works. Yeah, just to show up consistently and feel it out. Lovely. And do the homepage challenge. Great. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. That's all brilliant. Okay, good. So when I posted this post here that I'm sharing my screen with, one of the things that I wanted to do is just for you to have a look at this page on your Substack. Do you all know where to find that? And we'll do that first. If you don't, just shout out and I'll show you. But you're basically going to be in your dashboard, and then you're going to go into your posts, and then you'll see this. So once you've got that, I'm just going to drag you out so I can see more of you. Once you've got that, I want you to see, we're going to ignore open rates for now because I'm not talking about that today. It's frustrating me because loads of my emails aren't being delivered and I don't know why. So today we're going to look at views and we're going to look at new subscribers. And I want you to have a look at the 2 posts that brought the most views and the most new subscribers, if it's saying that if any of them brought new subscribers, because sometimes you get a 0, don't you? And that's fine. So if you have got a post that's brought at least 1, and then a post that's got the highest views, and what those 2 posts are. And then I would love to ask you to talk if you're willing, but if not, just pop in the chat if there's anything at all that you've noticed about the posts with the higher views than normal, or the posts with the new subs. What can you notice about them? Feel free to talk, but if you want to stop sharing this, I can see you all. Does anybody want to chat, or do you just want to write in the chat today? No worries either way. Okay. If you just put in the chat then, if you can notice anything, and I'll just keep talking to you about it. So one of the things that I noticed last year was that if I did a post that was about driving community, so driving a set of shared connection, a set of people feeling like they were part of something, so people feel invited. So I guess, yeah, it's a post of invitation, that they get a lot of views. And one of the reasons they get a lot of views is because people restack them, but also because the engagement is high. People are commenting and people are clicking through to things. And my practice is rooted in co-creation, so it just felt right for me to do more of that type of post. So when I was thinking about what I could do that held people in a way that they felt held with accountability, because this was really important to me when I was reflecting for this next chapter, I came up with the idea of the 24 Essays Club. And I knew that in setting that stall out, there would be some interest. I didn't realize there would be so much interest. And I knew there could potentially be a bit of confusion and a bit of like, how do we do this? And it was a chance for me to strengthen my brand and say, all the rules are made up. What do you want to do? Because you're invited. This is an accountability club. This is something fun where we get to give ourselves a badge and count down from 24 to 1. And it just felt really, really good. And so that post now is my most viewed post on Substack. And I only came up with that like a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, and it was those elements of community building, connection, helping people to feel seen, that were feeling a bit lost or feeling like they kind of couldn't steady the ship, and giving them that kind of way in. Will everybody finish the challenge? No, but I only said up to 24 posts, so that's totally fine. And it felt really, really nice to extend that invitation, even though I will get more tags and notifications. I don't feel like I need to read them all. I've sort of steadied my mind about that. Okay, let's see. So Natalie says, I deduced from mine that people like me spilling my guts. I'm currently finishing a mouthful of toast, so couldn't speak. Thanks, Natalie. Yeah. So what Natalie's saying there, and Natalie's coming on, well, I've scheduled the podcast, Natalie's coming on the podcast at the weekend, is that Natalie has a really beautiful way of holding our audience in personal story that feels relatable. So there are these relatable strands where people read it and think, thank God that she said that. Like, that's incredible. I've never heard anybody talk in that way or frame it up in that way. And so there's something in escapism, isn't there, when you get lost in someone's personal essay and they're a brilliant writer, where people feel very, very connected. And I don't know whether Natalie knows or not whether they get shared and that's why the views are bumped up, or whether you've noticed anything with that, but it is interesting, isn't it? I've heard this a lot from writers. Charlie said the post that brought new subs, I think, was because someone restacked it. Yeah. Yeah. So when you are writing your posts and you're going through the editing phase, there'll be certain lines that you've written where you think, "Wow, that's fire." I've done a really good job there. And you can just see it. And those are always, and I've started to notice this, the lines that people want to restack. Like if you're reading it and you think, wow, like I've really hit on something there, that sentence is really well crafted. Those are the things that get restacked. Sometimes people just restack a post. And obviously I'm really into encouraging this in our notes engagement thread, to be supportive of another writer. And we should just always be supporting as much as we can. Even if you feel like no one's seen you restack, it impacts so much on the community of writers that we share this space with. So if you can, within the next 3 months, I'd love you to think about restacking other people's work more, because it impacts massively. So Lynn says, mine with the highest views drove some new subs, were both personal and appeal to my target audiences. Yeah, so you can see that clearly. You've got your ideal reader, and that's a post where you've sat down, you know, that's definitely going to appeal to them. Perfect. And Sophie says, the one with the most views is about notes on Substack. The one with the most new subs was my first post about finding more time to do what you love. Lovely. You'll be interested to see if I do another one along these lines, to see if it was the topic or the fact that it was my first post that made it more successful. Yeah, so Substack definitely boost at certain times. So after I hit 100 paid subscribers on Substack, there was just a whole load of boosting went on. They also do boosts at the start of the month. So you might have had this before. You'll get a new paid subscriber and it'll say it's come through Substack's Boost network. And so if you have that turned on in your settings and you are working on driving more paid subscribers, they tend to do that at the start of the month. So I'll see that message at the start of the month sometimes. So they automatically email someone who's highly engaged, or a group of people that are highly engaged, and say, here's a boost. And I think they offer them a little discount with that as well. You can see more in your settings. It sounds, Sophie, that you sat down and wrote from the heart, and maybe there was a slight bit of vulnerability there because it was your first post, and that can just feel really powerful to the reader. In terms of talking about Substack on Substack, yeah, I mean, I think we're tiring of it in some ways, but sometimes people write about it in a new way, or a really relatable way, or just hit on a group of people that are feeling the same, and those posts do really well. The reason that I say that we're tiring of it is because I've seen like a lot of negativity, but I try not to let it affect me too much because I show up in service. So it's like if I'm showing up in service, it's all good. So Vicky says the best post was International Women's Day, which got way more shares because it was part of the community writing initiative, I think. And it was a lot more personal and creative, I think. Yeah. And don't be afraid to reshare these posts. So one of the things that I've started doing is leave a post for a week or so, and then I'll revisit a part of it and I'll share it on notes and I'll ask another question, you know, to try and lead into that post. Because if you feel like something's been written, it's not yesterday's news, you know, it's just there'll be other people that find it when they need to find it. And quite often in my notifications, I've got comments across 2 or 3 different posts from different people. And that's because of this kind of picking it up and sharing it again and giving it some more airtime. So Claire said most views is called Finding Joy in January. It was one of my free newsletters, but got lots of shares at the time. I think people were feeling it at the end of January. It's relatable. 26 new subs. That's a lot, isn't it? Yeah, that's a lot of subs. So Caroline said, just noticed that I had a big spike in views for a post in March. How do you find out if a post is featured by Substack? Yeah, interesting. So on the Explore page, let me share my screen with you guys. And this is really the only way to know when you go into here. If you see that a post is gaining more traction than you would ordinarily think, like sometimes I get a little notification from Substack that says your post is getting a lot of views. So I got that for the Essay Club one. It'll be here. So they do a curated for you in Explore, and they also do this staff picks. So every week the staff will go in and they'll pull something to come into here. It's quite often the same names, to be honest, but it's not always. So there is stuff there where it might be that it had featured there. It might be that it was getting restacks, which obviously you would know, but otherwise it could have ended up in this recommended section. So things that people think that things that Substack think that I'd like to read, or this staff picks section. So you can always check and just have a quick scroll. It's not endless. It does have a bottom, so you won't be on there long. You can just see what's going on. If you want to check your leaderboard category as well, if you know which category you chose for your Substack, you could also have a check to see if you're anywhere near the leaderboard, but you usually need well over 100 paid subscribers, you know, getting on for 200, 300,000 to be in the top 20. But sometimes people are scrolling more, so they might have gone into a section and they might have found you. You do have to have paid switched on to be in here. The other place is in notes. Sometimes we get a top 5 and you don't have to have paid subscribers switched on to be featured in that top 5 in notes. So it could have been from there as well, Caroline, if you missed it. That could have been what was going on. Okay, let's do some journaling. So feel free to have a look at that every month. Just go in and see everything that you've posted and have a look to see, because sometimes it can just feel worth celebrating. You might want to do a celebratory note about it. You might want to say, I can't believe what's happened over here. We have to keep celebrating ourselves because it encourages others to celebrate themselves as well, and it encourages others to do the work. And yeah, it just feels like we can get a sense of what's going on. And if you notice that again about high views, you can check those places and see, and then do tell us in the chat if you notice anybody being featured, because that's super exciting. Okay, so strategic goal setting for the next 3 months, April through to June. First question, how much time have you got to spend on your Substack? Are you here once a week, a few times a week, every day? How much time? Just note that down. So I'm writing every day. You guys know that. I do actually have Sundays off now. Okay. And how many posts would you like to do, and what type of posts are you thinking about? You might put some audio in there, might put some video in there. Are you going to stick to straight writing? Might you do an article voiceover? Within a 3-month container, I know we're a couple of weeks into April now, but within that 3-month container, how many posts? Are you posting weekly, monthly, every other month, a few times a week? So I'll do my weekly first. Okay. Are there any special dates coming up? So have you got a birthday, a Substack birthday? Are you part of somebody else's collaboration? Are you joining in with anything like Essay Club? Is there anything that you are feeding into that is overarching in the next 3 months? Maybe a guest on someone's podcast, any things like that? So there are two parts to that question. There's sometimes some stuff going on behind the scenes. So I'm doing a couple of summits, which won't be visible on Substack, but will feed subscribers into Substack and hopefully paid subscribers. So that's kind of behind the scenes feeding my Substacks as work for Substack. And then obviously front of house, that collaboration stuff, the guest podcasts, anything like that coming out that you can think of. Okay. With your commitment to posting within this 3 month schedule, so say if I've got like 24 minimum posts, is there anything that you feel that now that you've seen that black and white number, so you're thinking, oh, I'd quite like a holiday, I might do less, or actually there might be space to do more? If you've got your diary handy, have a look at your diary and just double check, like, do you want to take a long weekend? Do you want to do social media detox, an online detox? Do you want to do more? Do you want to push to do more? Do you want to do more messages for increasing paid subs within that posting schedule? What would that look like? If you did those messages as emails rather than posts, where do those emails fit within your posting schedule? We can talk about how many emails to send. I mean, it's something I'm still working on. I do think it's hard. But if you're in a launch period or if you're in a goal setting, you come into the end of where you've set your goal. So for your 30 paid subs, for example, you're allowed to send more emails. You know, you've set that goal for yourself. You're allowed to give it a go and see if you can reach it. If you don't, then it'll just sort of rattle on past and you're like, oh, well, I'll just extend it. So we're allowed to push ourselves in a way that we feel comfortable with sending separate emails. Okay. What would be the best thing to happen for your Substack publication in the next 3 months? Like, what would feel amazing? So it could be somebody with a big writer profile recommends your Substack. That's mine. Or it could be a post goes viral, or it could be 2,000 views on a post, or it could be, you know, I reach my goal for paid subs. What would be the best thing to happen for your Substack? And last question, reflecting on the last 3 months, so January through to the end of March, how did you feel being on Substack? How did you manage all of those feelings? And would it be okay if the next 3 months were exactly the same? So if, you know, you had some ups and downs like I definitely did. So, you know, trolls were like a little bit more prevalent than they've ever been. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I've definitely steadied the ship. I've asked for support and I've received support and it's been amazing, but it was a lot. Like it felt a lot. I know Claire posted about having a 1-star review on Amazon, which is just like, it's just really hard. It's really hard because it feels very real, feels very real in our bodies. And there's only so much we can do to try and connect to the positive messages in that moment. We've kind of got to process what's happened and then come to a new place. So for me, January to March felt great, but it also felt like the hardest time of being online that I've had. Like I've never had experiences like that online. And so in a way I could sort of be like, oh well, you know, you knew about this, like you've been really naive there, but I didn't know because I'd never felt it, I'd never experienced it. Everything else was abstract. You know, when people talk about it, it's abstract because I haven't felt it, and I really felt it. So steadying that ship and protecting my boundaries and putting new boundaries in place was something that I didn't expect to have to do, but I'm so grateful that I have had to do that, because now I feel so much stronger. So yeah, so reflecting on, if you felt the same and had the same experiences, would that feel good? Would it feel enough? Or do you want more? Do you want more for your Substack in the next 3 months? I'm going to give us just a few minutes to get that down. So I'll go on mute and just give you about 3 minutes and put anything in the chat that you'd like. Okay, feel free to keep writing, but I'm just going to share this link in the chat. So this is a masterclass that I did, a mini masterclass that starts with how we send an email in Substack. So it's basically, you go to your subscriber tab and then you filter what you want to filter and you send the email, and it'll override any settings that people have got where they're just reading the app, because it is an actual email, so it just overrides it. So the only thing is, if people have set their settings to only read in the app, they can be a bit confused as to why they've got an email. So I tend to say, I'm sending this as a one-off Substack email. This is the reason I'm sending it. So I don't do it very often, but I do it specifically if there's like a special offer, or if I don't want someone to miss a deadline or something like that. And I did a lot of trials with those specific emails when I was doing a push on free trials over Christmas time. So reminding people, okay, like you've got however long it was. I think I did it for 3 weeks over Christmas, and I can't remember the exact details of that, but I wanted to remind people you've got time. So I think it was a 14-day free trial rather than 7. And I reminded them, and I wanted to see in that experiment if people converted to staying paid as a paid subscriber. So that was all around Christmas time. So yeah, have a look at that video if you want to see how to do it. It's so easy and really worth doing within your posting strategy, and thinking about, especially if you want to kind of just say something really short. I wouldn't use it to kind of post things that you would like views on, so essays and stuff. Just do it for special offers, or if you want to email paid subs to say, here's your link, or if you want to offer free subs a special discount or something, you can filter that. So yeah, it's really good. It's a really good feature. Okay. So Lynn's saying, I would love to get some traction with my subscriber growth. It keeps fluctuating around the same number and has for months. I would also love to try and get some more community interaction between my subs, which is part of the reason I moved my list here in the first place. Yeah. And so what would be really good to do is just get some ideas down for how you could do that. So if you've done some reflection there and you are in this holding pattern or feeling frustrated at growth, then we need to get some fresh thinking, some creative thinking. We need to really tune into like what it is that we're here to do, and remember that people are busy and distracted. So sometimes we'll have to remind them, oh, this is my Substack publication. This is why I've set it up. This is what it's here to do. You can join in here. You can join in over there. This is what's coming up this month, those sorts of things. So I've started doing the what's on this month and the monthly roundup as well, so that in case you missed it, post, because people were saying that they couldn't, keep up with everything and they weren't sure, like, is this for me? Is that for me? There's beginner stuff, there's advanced stuff, there's the calls. So that's really helped. So if you have a busy publication, just thinking about doing some sort of roundup, could be at the end of your posts, it could be just some sort of reminder that's really clear that what your Substack is. The amount of times I've subscribed to someone's Substack and been like, what's this again? Why am I here? And then I go to their about page and remind myself, whereas actually they could remind me, because I've read something and subscribed and loved it, but then forgotten what it was that I decided I would sub for. Yeah, so that's good to think about. Okay, we're gonna head over to our about pages. And every 3 months, I think it's really good to do a check-in on your about page, because things shift and change. We've got more to say. So on Creatively Conscious, which was the primary publication that I set up on Substack, I've got my about page here. So we have to have this about page on Substack. And in the app, you can still find that relatively quickly, not as quickly as you used to be able to. It was always the big push from Substack that we would find someone and we would click their about page, but it still does get a lot of clicks, and you can edit it right here. So you can just press this edit button and then you'll be into your post editor. So I've just edited this the other day. I didn't have a photo of myself on there, so I thought, oh, I better change that. I put this in, a screenshot of the services page, the subscription page, sorry, so that people can see. And I'm going to do a big overhaul of this. That's one of my goals for the next 3 months. But I did just pop in and have a little look. Now, I think it's really good, and I've got a post coming out on about pages this week, but I think it's really good to use other people's words on your about page. Maybe one at the top, a piece of social proof from somebody else, and then some more down the bottom. I did this ages ago, so I've like sat and typed all this out, and I've got my community building space as well. So when people get their welcome email and when they land here, they can go over to this post, which is an introductions post. So people are getting to know some of the other people that subscribe to my publication, and then they can chime in and they can chat and they can meet other people. When I first did this post, there was no other posts like this on Substack. The culture just didn't exist of doing this. And there's more prevalent now, and you can do something in your way. So like I've called it Let's Cozy Around the Fire. You can do it however way you want, but it's an opportunity to bring people in so they get to recognize you, your personal brand, if you like that terminology, and feel a little bit more at home in your Substack. More things, bestseller badge, and that's that there. So when we're holding our about page, we want to hold it from the point of view of a brand new reader and a brand new person to Substack, the two things. So just read your about page with those two things in mind. I'll put it in the chat. A brand new reader and a brand new person to Substack. And you'll know why when you start working that out. Okay, good. So Vicky's, I'm just laughing because Vicky said, oh, it's still on the default text. I know, because there's so many things to set up when you first come to Substack, it's fine. Ideally, we'd be working on quite a long about page, but don't let that put you off. Just do something that isn't the default text. Get a photo in, say what your publication's about, like have a look what you've put in your short bio. What I've seen a lot of people do is like talk about, I've started this Substack, I'm on Substack now, and people off Substack are like, what's Substack? What are you doing? I don't get it. I don't want to be on another social media. I just tried TikTok. It's so noisy. Don't make me do another social media. So we have to talk about our publication. We have to talk about our newsletter. We have to talk about our space online, our online home. We have to change the language. You can put Substack in there. You can put Substack are the people that power this platform. I really like it. You might want to download the Substack app, like whatever's true for you, you can put in there. But when people are finding this about page, just try not to put them off, because people already have barriers to joining Substack unless they've learned what it is and someone showed them, unless they have headspace and time. Like I've been talking about Substack on my Instagram for 2 years, and the last masterclass that I did, still loads of people came over and were like, oh, all right, Claire, like I'll have a look now. And I've been talking about it for 2 years. So it's really about trying to hold people in terms of what you're inviting them into, less about Substack. Just put that in at the bottom. And then if someone's new to your publication and they're new to you, presuming that they don't know anything about what this experience is going to be like. So yes, we can tell them who we are in the world and our credentials if that feels good, but we want to first of all explain the experience that they're going to have. So what is your Substack publication like? Like, what is it like here? Not what they're going to get, what it's going to feel like when they land. So I would love somebody to talk. I might pick on someone. Caroline, have you got time? Are you about? I'd love you to share
Yeah.
when people land on your Substack, how you want them to feel.
Um, yeah, that's a really interesting question, because I've just been reminded, I just put it in chat, that when I worked in business comms, my absolute mantra whenever I was writing anything was, what do I want people to think, feel, and do as a result of reading my piece?
Love that.
And I haven't been going into Substack with that mindset, with that mentality. And I'm just going to stick it above my laptop here
Yeah.
and absolutely adhere to that. What do I want people to think and feel and do? So I'm just going to go in and review my whole about page from that point of view, from that lens, and also answering those two questions that you've just asked, which is, what do I want a new reader and somebody new to Substack to get from it? Because it is a confusing place.
Mhm.
So if I can offer any kind of clarity around the experience of Substack and the experience of my Substack, in particular my channel,
Mm.
then that's my duty to do that. So I'm going to dive back in and review my about page from that
Lovely.
perspective.
Yeah, that sounds good. And we can keep it really simple, can't we? We feel like we might have to kind of throw everything at it. But the main thing we want them to do is subscribe. If they're
Mm,
already subscribed, then it's the opportunity for them to get to know us more. So it's either one or the other. Either we want them to subscribe and be getting to know us in the process, or we want them to get to know us on a deeper level, which is why mine's set up to take them to that kind of intro thread and to talk to them about why I started and all that sort of stuff.
mm.
So with those filters, we'll just spend another sort of 5, maybe 7 minutes. Just go in, do a couple of edits, like be quite brutal, if you want to be, or copy the whole thing into a Word document and be like, right, what am I doing with this? Like start again, get stuff right down the page and put new things in. Do you want a new image? Do you want to refresh that? What do you want to say about what this place has become for you and for your readers? What do you want to invite them into? What do you feel for your reader they're missing out on? What haven't they got elsewhere? Like, what is it that you can offer them? So let's spend a few minutes on that and I'll catch up with the chat. Okay, feel free to carry on working. I'm just going to share my screen and show you the other space that's really good to check in on. Again, I would be doing this every month if you're posting a lot on Substack, especially if you're just finding your way. I know there are a few people here that are very new to the platform and are trying to work out, okay, like, what am I here to do? So when you land here on your writer profile, there's one publication here that obviously is my primary publication that I lead with at the top, and I can swap this around anytime, but this is the primary publication. And so this space here is an extension of the invite, and we get a limited number of characters to talk about our publication and our limited number of characters to talk about ourselves as well. So it's really worth checking in on those two spaces along with your about page and just kind of going, okay, like, is this holding people in the way I want people to feel held? Does this set out my publication from others in the same area or in the same niche? Are people clear what they're going to get, like, from me as a person, a writer, a creative, or from the publication? You'll just, once you get this super clear, people aren't going to be looking for your about page. It's just going to be instantly subscribing, you know? So it's well worth doing the work on your about page, of course it is, but getting this right and getting this feeling like, yeah, that feels aligned, powerful. So I put these in the chat: aligned, powerful, and unique to me.
Claire, would you mind just showing us how you got to that place again,
Oh,
please?
for sure, yeah. So you want to go on your top, on your little writer dashboard here, and just press where your email address is, and then you'll be there. And then you can obviously go into edit profile if you want to, but we're just reading it at the moment. We're just looking at what other people see. Obviously, you've got the option of links here. Now, I've just put them all in. There was a time when I was like, I'm not going to do that because it's about this space. And now I'm like, it's actually fine. People can go to my website, they can go over to my Instagram or LinkedIn. I just stick them all in. It's not one way better than the other, but sometimes I think it's nice to just hold space for what happens on Substack. And I was definitely in that space for the first year. How are you all feeling about reading that and reading your about page? Don't want to get in your own head about it too much. It's just that refresher. It's like, is this clear? Is this aligned with me where I am right now? Is this powerful and unique? Lots of concentrated faces. It's lovely. It's lovely doing this work with you all. Okay. So as our readers are coming into land and making friends with us, making friends with our publication, you can check your subscriber retention rate if you want to. So if you've been on Substack a little while, it's worth doing because there are always going to be people that subscribe and then decide it's not for them. But if we're doing our work properly in our posts, in this space, and in our about page, your subscriber retention rate will be higher because people knew what they were signing up for. So Substack do this thing when you subscribe to somebody new where they'll recommend other places for you to subscribe, other publications, and they'll recommend people to follow as well. So the trend we've seen at the moment is the follower graph is going up and up and up, and the subscriber graph is coming down slightly because people are quite confused about what to do. And Substack have said quite outwardly that they expect and want our followers to turn into subscribers. So it's just giving them another option. But my personal take on it, and Caroline might agree, is that you give people one thing to do, they do it. If you give people two things to do, they don't do any of it. So if people are making a decision to unsubscribe, to untick those subscribe buttons at the point of referral and just to follow, they might be like, oh yeah, I'll just get loads of followers. I'm not doing either of them because I'm like, I don't want to follow people that I don't know. And I don't want to be, I need to protect my peace. You know, I don't want to follow things and then end up like seeing things I don't want to see on Substack. Like it's a really sacred space to me. So I don't want to follow anyone that Substack recommend. And I don't want to subscribe to anybody either. I'm just just at that space. I've been here 2 years. I've got enough subscriptions. If you're new, obviously there might be a bit of like, oh yeah, I'll just subscribe to people. Why not? This is a really fun place. And then there'll be a level of unsubscribing. So if you know what your subscriber retention rate is, you don't have to take it too much to heart, but just know that whatever Substack have done that shifted and changed at the moment might mean that it's going down, and it's nothing to do with you. It's to do with the fact that people have just tripped into your publication and then either got too many signups or they didn't really know what they were signing up for. So it's our job just to set out that stall properly and hold people within that. And if we can, give them an opportunity to get to know us and our work. And that's where we'll come into the welcome email. So what we were doing on the About page was looking at, are there any opportunities to get them kind of bedded in, to introduce them to other people within our community, to introduce them to other readers. Now, that might not feel right for you if you just want to run a newsletter subscription here or a paid members service. You can think about it in another way. But for the most part, our readers become loyal readers, and then they recommend our Substack to others, and that's how we grow. So if we're thinking about our readers as loyal readers, where do we want to send them? Where do we want to send them from the About page after they're already subscribed? Is there a one place? So that's the first question. I'll put that in the chat. And then when we come into welcome emails, how do we want to welcome them? Some people will just delete that email because they're already in. But for the people that open it, what do we want to be welcoming them to? What do we want to send them? So one place for community in the About page.
Sorry,
So Hi,
Sorry.
Sue.
Hi. Could I ask, can you clarify that again for me, please? I'm slightly confused about that bit.
Yeah, so on your About page, if someone is already subscribed, because remember, every subscriber takes a different journey. So they might have landed on your About page and they might be like, I was, where I ended up subscribed and I was like, who's this again? Check the About page. And so then there's an invite of some place to send them. So it's further down the About page, but where do you want to send them? Do you want to send them to a popular post? Do you want to send them to your first post? Do you want to send them to a place where they're all introducing themselves? Do you want to send them to something off Substack? Maybe like you had something published in an anthology, or, you know, you've got your website or whatever. Where do you want to send them so they get to know you better? So they get to know what you're about and get to know what your Substack's about. So we don't have to keep them on Substack once they're subscribed. You know, they're getting to know us as a person, and we holistically plug into a lot of things outside of Substack. So it's just that, really. It's just seeing if there's an opportunity in our About page to just hold that person that's already subscribed and looking for that deeper connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. So it can be, like say, on Substack itself, but it could be a website as well, equally.
Yeah. And I think just further down, and then it marries with the welcome email for the new subscribers. So once someone presses that subscribe button, their next place is the welcome email, if they don't delete it as it comes in, because lots of people do, not everybody. And in those welcome emails, again, we've got that opportunity. They've opened it. They want to spend time with us. They want to know more of what we're about. They want to read some of our posts. They might want to watch a video, you know, if we've got a video or whatever else. So we're going to go into that place next, because once we've done this work, and I only do this every 3 months. So if you're new, it's good to check in monthly and make sure it's all aligning. But if you're in your flow with Substack, you just do this work every 3 months, your bio place, your About page, and then your welcome email, and you're like, right, that's it. I've got it, and off I go. So let me just show you, you're welcome. Let me show you where you get to your welcome emails. I'm just going to go into Creatively Conscious because those are the ones that I haven't looked at. Right. Okay. So in settings here, this is when you get this big long list of different things. And if you're new to Substack, please don't be put off by thinking you have to fill it all in and do it all. You can really take your time with this. Like, you know, there are certain things that I didn't fill in for like 6 months longer. It's fine. It's all fine. Obviously, your publication name and your short description. This is the short description that pulls through to the page that we've just been on. So this is the description that pulls through on the publication explainer. That's there. And then you've got your design, which we're not going into today, logo, which I've just covered in the homepage challenge class, your categories. Again, I've just talked about leaderboards in a really extensive piece of research. So do have a little refresh and think, okay, like, do I want to change these up? Remembering what I said about leaderboards and paid subscribers. I'm just going to go down. Okay, so when we're here, if you couldn't find this and you were like, oh, goodness sake, where is it? All you do is type welcome into this search bar and anything that you're looking for. So bear in mind that Substack are quite confusing with how they categorize things on this settings page. And sometimes you will just end up scrolling it. I still do now, it's bonkers. Anyway, so here we go. It's in branding, thanks Substack. Welcome email to paid subscribers, welcome email to free subscribers, welcome email to imported subscribers, recommendation blurbs on welcome page. So I haven't got founding members here because I turned it off for Creatively Conscious, and I'll talk more about that in future calls, but I've turned founding members off completely here. So you will have that probably if you haven't turned it off. So all of these options here, you need to think about how someone is joining your publication and then how you want to hold them in that. So when I said about the monthlies coming in and leaving, this is your opportunity to welcome them to do that. You know, you're welcome. If you just want to stay for a couple of months, great. It's lovely to have you. If you're here for a year, brilliant. This is what we're doing. You know, you can give them all of that information in that welcome email, and you need to repeat it. They'll not remember. You need to repeat it in your posts as well. So let's just go into the welcome email for free subscribers and then remind ourselves of what we're saying. So give me a shout if you're stuck at finding it, but I've just pressed edit and I'm just on that page now. I'm just going to check the chat. Yeah, that's good. Everyone's making small changes. Just the small changes are great. And this is where you can do it every month and just do it at the start of the month. But once you're in your flow, every 3 months is fine. Okay, so when you're on this welcome email page, you can remind people again what you're about, but we're looking at the layer deeper than that. We're looking at that layer of like deep connection with our readers and something more personal. So obviously I've put a lovely photo of my kids on holiday. I feel like it's just a beautiful photo and everybody might like to see that. And also, I don't apologize for being a mum anywhere. So there it is. And then obviously I've talked about, oh, this has even still got this old, I'll have to take that out. So that had still got the old page break on where I didn't realize that I had to do it as a transparent background. So this is how long it's been since I've been in this one. And then a little bit of connection to my work outside of Substack, and it's relatively short. So I need to do quite a lot of work on this one. The Sparkle one will be better in terms of an example. But the question, like, how are you? I get replies to this all the time. So I get at least one reply a week to this welcome email, which shows me that people are opening it, some people, and also gives me the opportunity to have a little chat in my email inbox. Now, if you were at the point where you thought you were going to get tens of thousands of these a week, then obviously you couldn't be inviting in somebody to reply. But I've been inviting people in to reply on both publications for 2 years. I've now got 7,000 free subscribers. I've never had too many emails and I only work part-time. So I do think it's a brilliant thing to do to invite people to reply to your welcome email. So just on that, we'll just spend a couple of minutes. What question do you want to ask them? So this is the question that I asked them. And I had a little break for a while when I was setting up Sparkle of like even really realizing that I'd asked people that question, and out of nowhere somebody was telling me their favorite ice cream flavor was cherry, and I was like, what? You know, I was like so in the thick of it, and then I remembered, oh yeah, that's in my welcome email. That's what I've asked them. That's what I've asked them. It's fun, it's lighthearted. everybody likes ice cream or vegan ice cream. It's a common thread. So people do reply. So again, just reading this again, that explainer about Substack I've got in here. So I'm telling people that they'll receive direct emails into their email inbox, but they can change their settings so they don't get too many emails. They'll be waiting for you in the Substack app. There's also the option to, where's it gone? I have to move your videos there. There we go. So see that little button that I've just put in? That just makes it all very pretty. Substack are good at design, aren't they? So because I'm saying that and they've made that button now, I just thought I'll stick that in. I've got loads of work to do on this, but it's fine. I just wanted to highlight again how I'm trying to hold people in that space. Okay. So we've been around the houses a little bit, and I'm going to leave time for questions at the end. But the reason that I've done this is because it's a creative process. It's a creative process to reflect back on how we've set out our stall, and it's a creative practice to hold people in that subscriber journey, both free and paid. And it's a lot of work. So knowing that there's that little bit of work to do at the start of every 3-month chunk, or every month, please, if you're just new, because so much will shift and change, and you'll want to say different things to people as you try and co-create your space. It's just really helpful to then go, okay, that's done. I know that that's all super clear. What am I working on? What am I posting and why? And going back to that kind of original cadence and that original goal setting. What I would say and encourage you to do is to do something outside of your comfort zone within this next 3 months. So maybe you want to do an audio recording of one of your posts. Maybe you want to pitch to be on someone else's podcast. Maybe you want to try something different. Substack is a mixed media space, so we can try alternative and different things here. We can be creative. We can try community collaboration posts and invites, and it's okay if things don't work, or if they don't meet our expectations. I think we just have to try it out and be bold in it, because when things do work, like ours for International Women's Day was insane. And we just didn't know that that was going to happen. And the best thing about it all was how overwhelming it felt to be a woman in the world on that day. Like, it was just incredible. It was an incredible life experience, like off Substack, like not to do with Substack, just to do with experiencing the world, So it was a flash of inspiration. I wanted others to be part of it. I'd never co-hosted with that many people before. I just thought, well, just give it a go. It was great. So I'm a big fan of pushing us outside of our comfort zone in a way that we know that it's okay if it doesn't work the way that we thought it was going to. If you're very new to the platform, just getting a sense of your rhythm and being able to kind of turn up and plug in the buttons and the tools and understand how subscribers join and all of that sort of thing is definitely enough for this first month. And then I'll push us more in the calls to be creative as we go along. But yeah, write yourself a little plan and then follow it and chat and let us know how things go and how things are feeling. I'm going to stop recording so we can do questions without being recorded with folks, which I like to do just for a little bit more intimacy on these calls. But if you are watching the replay, you're so welcome. Oh, actually, before I go, let me just share my screen one more time, because I did want to just say to you all, because I know that we read in app a lot, that I have just rejigged everything here so it's easier for you to find. So as a paid member, you can always click membership here, and this is going to be in chronological order apart from the how to find your way around post. So everything that I've published for paid members is here. So all the replays, all the posts that are locked to paid are there, and you've also got them here as well. So the second heading, this is now simple Substack advice. So if you're new to Substack, I'm just putting things in a really clear one idea a post way so people can kind of navigate and find their way around. So again, you would just press see all. And then my new space for Diamond members, which has just been an incredible thing to work through and to hold and host, is there. So this is the stuff that is below the surface. So this is the mindset stuff, the nervous system stuff, the deep holding of like our branded self. Do we have a personal brand? What does that even mean? What does it feel like? This is everything that goes deeper, and it's advanced Substack stuff. So if somebody asks me, okay, like, how do we filter people in this way? Like, what would you advise around emailing people? Like, I'll make a tutorial and it goes in there. So that's all in there. That's my lovely husband doing a nervous system reset workshop for everybody. And then I've got Substack growth tips, because that's what brings people to my platform. People want to know how to grow. So I talk about that. And then the make money on Substack. Not everybody wants to do that, so I've separated it out now. So I just wanted to show you that, because I just feel like sometimes when you're in the app, it's like, oh yeah, I get that. But then sometimes if you've got a bit of time and you want to revisit stuff, you know where it is now. So, right, okay, we'll stop that. Stop the recording.